I'm afraid to live a life that I know I could have had if I had tried harder or put in more effort or really done like the little things that people do when they live their life from a point of authenticity and bravery and courage and like oneness with self. I'm afraid of this because I know that at many times in my life, there are certain things that I could have done or should have done or wanted to do that I didn't do. And I'm not sure if I'll regret it for the rest of my life, but what I do know is the people that stay with me for a reason. And I think that the reason is because when I was with them, or when it was like, the time in my life where they were there were things that I did or didn't do that I should have done or shouldn't have done that would have made me regret it less. And while I know that everything in my life happens for a reason and that everything that has happened, just period, is relevant and important, it still feels like it's hard to let go, or it's hard to consciously make the change of not having this thing bother me because of regret or shame or guilt. And of course that plays into the present, that if I'm ashamed about the past, I'm not living fully in the present. I can't meet the present because I'm living in the past. But at the same time, I even think that talking about the shame or residing in the shame or allowing the shame to have a place is relevant to the grand progression of my life. And I know consciously that though I feel feelings of regret or feelings of shame or doubt or whatever now, those things helped me. And there will be a time in my life where I don't feel those things. But I think my point is that I'm afraid that I will never let go of those things, and I will never be able to get over things in my life that have happened that have struck fear or pain into my heart. These thoughts come with a large quantity of thinking about life and death. And life and death in general are things that every person has to consider, whether consciously or not, because at a certain point in every single one of our lives, we are going to die. And I don't want to die. Like, if I could live forever, that would be really great. Maybe not forever, but if I could choose when I died, that would be better. And I think that for some people, taking like life into their own hands in the suicidal type of way is that a sense of control is given in those contexts. I'm not saying that that's the only thing, but I think that's part of it. At least it was for me. And the control, I think, is something that a lot of us have a hard time understanding, that that's not something that we really can do. That yes, in some ways, like in spiritual ways, or taking control of the day, of your emotions, of your thoughts, like those are ways for people to have control. But for the most part, the circumstances that happen to us are not completely within our control, or at least they have some degree of randomness to them, at least to us. And I think that along with the like persecution of the self, of feeling like I have to be a certain way, or I have to be special or successful or have a lot of money, or whatever your personal struggle is, the personal goal is, like overarching, that's ruling you, that those things make it feel like you're always behind, or you're not doing enough, or you're not enough, like period. And I think to myself that that's just so, like, terrible. That's shitty. Like, living your life for someone else, but not really understanding consciously or realizing that that's what's happening, whether it be for your parents or for past lovers or society or whatever it is. Like, just thinking that there's something else that's ruling us is, like, really, like, upsetting to me. And so I think that I've had this, like, struggle of control for myself where I want to know what's going to happen, but I guess I really don't. And the only thing that I can control is the way that I react to things, and the way that I move forward in life is, like, whether or not I choose to do, like, something or not. And I get that this is, like, you know, vague, but I think it's intentional because I want you to be able to plug your own experiences into this. Like, what if you did the thing that you regretted not doing? Like, what would happen? And, like, what life is that version of you living now because they did do it? And I think a part of this too is, like, watching life go by without touching the things around you, and, like, engaging in life, engaging in, like, color, engaging in spiritual practices, or just even, like, physical practices, taking care of your body. Like, these are things that we, as, for the most part, I'm assuming, is able-bodied and free people to take part in the simple rituals, the simple acts of caring for oneself or caring for the people around them, or you know, yeah. I guess I mean to say that I'm sure that dying is scary for everybody, especially when you're on your deathbed, but there are things that we can do now to make sure that as we get closer to the age that we're gonna die, which, you know, could be at any time. That's another layer to this, is, like, the immeasurability of how mortal we are. I think that the thing, like, I keep thinking about this, like, cliche or stereotype that teenagers think they're invincible. And I don't even know. I feel like I've just thought I was invincible my whole life, because you don't expect to die tomorrow. I'm sure if you expected to die tomorrow, you probably would. But, like, it's this sensation that mortality is coming for all of us, but not for me, not yet, because I have, like, so much more to do, or so much more to say, or people to tell that I love them and stuff like that. But in reality, like, there is nothing governing us from not dying tomorrow, or even today, or even in the next second. Like, there's so many things that could happen that I'm not, like, meaning to give you anxiety about it, but I am meaning to say, like, if we did live our lives like we didn't have a tomorrow, or if we had a certain amount of time to live, I'm sure it would be much more, like, I don't know, successful in the way that you define success. But at the same time, like, there is a kind of beauty to slowing down and realizing that, you know, you probably won't. But even if you did, what could you be doing today that would make you more fulfilled tomorrow, or more fulfilled in the moment? What could you be doing that isn't servicing fear, which is the fear of knowing that you may or may not live to see the next day, or knowing that your life is finite, that you could, like, shift into taking care of yourself. I know that I reference that a lot, but for me it's really hard to consistently take care of myself if I'm not, like, seriously intentional about where my energy goes and what's important to me and what I want in my life. And if I didn't focus on those things, and I haven't in many parts of my life, if I didn't focus on those things, as I haven't, my life would become, like, I would become really depressed and really anxious and really upset, and I have. And even in times where, you know, like, if you consider life as, like, valleys, ups and downs, even in times where I'm, like, up, I still find a way to, like, go back down. And I don't know if that's, like, truly, like, a part of life. I really want my life to feel consistent in that, and have my crashes or my valleys not be as low as they have been. But the only thing I really can do is, despite everything else, like staying in the middle and staying grounded to my truth, which I think my truth resides in both, but the one anchoring theme is that, like, I'm a person, I deserve good things, I deserve to live, I deserve to take care of myself even when it's hard. And I'm realizing that I'm saying a lot of stuff that I don't even really do in practice. And I think that that's the difficult thing too. Is like, how much are we willing to allow the things that we say to not actually dictate our words, and instead allow life to pass us by, despite the fact that we know that we want something else. I think I just hit on a pretty important topic in, like, our generation, and also life in general, is that you know that you want more. You know that you want better things. You know that you want to do all of the things on the to-do, like the invisible to-do list, which I actually just, like, wrote down all of the things on my to-do list, and not just like daily stuff, but like things that I've been thinking about doing, things that have been projects that I haven't completed, stuff like that. And it's really daunting if you really, like, just look at it and just think, it's like, oh my God, there's so many things to do. But I'm also realizing, like, oh my God, there's so many things to do. And I get that, like, you change your mindset, you change your life, you change the perspective that you have on things, and the perspective, hold on, you change the way you look at things, and the things that you look at change, boom. That's kind of the key for, like, understanding aspects of life, as this is a daunting task. I feel a high level of anxiety even thinking about doing this thing. I feel a high level of anxiety even thinking about going out and, like, just even visualizing what it would be like to do something. Even though if I truly allowed myself to just go do it, if I got out of my own way, if I allowed myself to, like, just, do the thing, it would be a lot easier than just sitting around and thinking about how shitty it makes me feel to think about doing it. I mean, you can apply this to literally anything. It's like washing the dishes, or taking the class, or going out. I'm literally listing things from my personal life. Maybe that's, important. But for me, it's doing laundry, cleaning my cat's litter box, like taking a shower sometimes. Actually, that's been getting better recently, but mopping the floors, like taking care of how untidy other parts of this house are. And going to group therapy, like doing things that are not easy to think about but are easy to just do. It is giving us a constant stream of more, more to take care of, more to add purpose to our lives, more to feel fulfilled by. Because for me, the reason why I want to do so many things is because there are parts of those things and parts of what would happen if I did those things that would make me feel like I'm doing good, that would make me happy living in the environment that I live in, or hosting the body that I host, like being a person, living a life. And I don't know about you, but to be honest, I would rather struggle through difficult things physically instead of sitting around thinking about doing them but actually doing nothing. Because I think it, like, signals to a part of our brains, like, we've thought about it, therefore we've done it. And the 3D doesn't show that to be true. The 3D is just showing you the same thing that it's been showing you, because there's been no consuming of it. There's been, buying the books but not reading them, or taking up a hobby but not doing it, or being inconsistent about your skincare. It's just like so many things that if you really did, like, gravitate to the now, if you touched down from the mind and you moved into the body, you would actually see change in the 3D. Yeah. I mean, like, something I've been thinking about too recently, or talked about recently, is that plants and animals, planets, elements, like the ocean, they manifest in a way that is by nature. right? They don't think about where they're going. They don't think about or really overthink about, the sunlight that they're going to receive, or the space that they're going to need to grow in, or, the tides that they pull, or the orbits that they orbit. Like, it's not a thought, it's a rhythm, it's a doing. And of course, they're much more experienced at it because they've been doing it for millennia longer than we have. But I really think that humans are the only animals, or the only creatures that not only overthink the things that they want to manifest, or overthink the things that they want to do, but they also are capable of allowing that overthinking to overcome the actual action of doing something. And if we took ourselves out of the picture in that way, if we took ourselves out of the way, if we allowed spirit or God or life to just move through us. My dog came in the room. I'm going to show you my dog while I talk about this. If we got out of our own way, the things that the planets do and the things that the earth does, the things that nature does, the things that like God does, would be second nature to us. It would be easy. It would be normal. And two, the lulls, the feelings that nothing's happening, the winter season where all of our leaves fall off and our energies move to our roots to ground us deeper into the earth, it would become more natural. It would become less of a thing where it's like, I'm literally in chaos, like I can't. Okay, I'm done with him. He's really cute though. It would feel less like something to fix and more like something natural. A mantra that I've been reciting to myself recently is that there are no problems. I have no problems. There's nothing to fix. There's nothing to solve. Everything is okay and everything is perfect the way that it is. And it works because even though we experience like strife, conflict, inner chaos, states of feeling like, there is no structure, there's no form, there is still simple forms. There's still the sun and the moon rising and setting. There is still making your bed. There's still washing your face. There's still ritualizing aspects of life that make the really difficult parts a lot easier to just meet and to allow to be, to allow the negative emotions, to allow the negative thoughts, to allow the negative thought patterns, whatever it is, to exist, to observe them, and to not necessarily make them real, because it's not that they aren't valid. It's not that they aren't telling you something. They are. They want to share with you that there is something to examine here. But that doesn't mean that that examination is a problem. It doesn't mean that that examination is a flaw in the self or an issue that needs to be like seriously like worked out. It's literally just about meeting that thing in a different way than you used to. And for me, I know that all of the times that I am trying to change myself, I'm also trying to change a past pattern, a past habit, a past conditioning that I've had about whatever it is. And I do, because it's important for me to understand the root before I understand the like plant itself. But at the same time, if I spent all of my time thinking about the past, I would just realign the past into my present, into my future. And that doesn't have to happen, because you are allowed to experience things, negative cycles, lulls, stagnancy. You are allowed to experience those things as a part of a greater whole, and the greater whole is both. So stay in the middle. Appreciate what you have. Hold on, I wrote this down. Use what you have and do what you can. Because I'm sure that there are a lot of things that you could be doing that you aren't doing. Me too. And it's really just about touching them, reaching out to them in the 3D, reaching out to the mat, reaching out to the healthier food, reaching out to the plants, feeding your houseplants, like things like that, reaching out to your hobbies, reaching out to your friends, reaching out to family. Like, it's just touch them. Put your paws on them. Okay, I have a few things that I want to say quickly that are kind of going to tie this all together, if it hasn't been already. Everything you experience is a part of a grand unfolding into the rich tapestry that is life. As I said, everything that happens, even the bad things, good things, bad things, medium things, whatever, they're a part of it. And so it's not that, you're behind. It's not that there's, things to do that you aren't doing. As long as you're making sure that you are working towards a life that you know that when you die, you're not going to be regretting, I think it's fine. Even if it is a lull, even if it is a depression or a period of high anxiety, whatever it is, it's just like, it's part of it. So learn from it what you can and move on as best as you can too. Love freely, don't regret what you do. I mean, I just said the don't regret what you do part, but the love freely thing is, if you die tomorrow, would you know in your heart of hearts that to every person that you felt this for, you said that I love you? Or that every person that you would leave behind knew who you were, or knew who you could be, or knew a part of you? Because it's not healthy to not have connection, first of all, but it's also important that you get that off your chest, that you are able to tell people freely the way that you feel and the way who you are, because it's not for them to hide yourself. It's not for them to sort of like sequester yourself away into a little cave. It's not for them. It's for you. And you deserve to know that you don't have regrets or fears about expressing what is truly human, which is vulnerability and oneness and peace with the fact that what has happened, and who I am is who I am. And that's it. Treat your body infinitely as it is finite. The other day I was thinking about what was going to happen to my body after I died. And it was a weird thing thinking about, well, actually I was asking ChatGPT about how the body decomposes, like when it's embalmed versus when it's not, or when it's buried like in a coffin versus when it's not like buried straight into the ground. And personally, I would like to be buried under a tree that starts as a sapling, or like a seed or whatever, and have it use my body as fuel for its growth. And if you're buried in the ground, you decompose way, way faster. It takes like a week, I think, for you to just be bones because of the little critters that come in and get you. And thinking about my body like bloating and then being eaten and then being like partially eaten and then being bones is kind of a weird thing to think about when you're already like in your vessel, right? So it's kind of, it kind of opened a door for me that was like, my body's not going to be here forever, even. I'm not going to be here forever. My body's not going to be here forever. And myself in my body is in even less time. So if I'm going to live my life, like, if knowing that I'm going to die, knowing that this isn't forever, even if it feels like it right now, I want to treat myself well. And I want to live my life well, and I want to be happy, and I want to be happy with my body, and I want to be happy with the way that I treat my body, the way that I protect my body, and the way that I use my body, like all of those things, where I am, like I want those things to matter. And so I'll treat your body infinitely because you are finite, or it is finite. Because you don't reside in your body after you die. I'm sure like a part of you, your body stays behind, but you yourself, you don't inhabit it anymore, right? Take your time and slow down. This morning, I was blessed to have a second outside where I was sitting next to my dog. While I was standing, he was sitting. He was very cute. Anyway, the sun was shining down onto me. The birds were singing. It was very beautiful, very green. And I have a wind chime that's been there since I was very young. And I just realized, because I looked at it for the first time, that it has a hummingbird on it. It actually has 2 hummingbirds on it. And hummingbirds are very significant to me. I think they're very beautiful, and I always have. And I've always really, really liked them and how they act and how they're just, you know, tiny little birds that are flapping their wings like really fucking fast. Anyway, and it was a really beautiful moment of realizing like this thing has been here for a very long time. It's probably existed longer than I've been alive. And I've never even realized that it's a hummingbird, which I really like. And so it was just a really nice moment being able to use my senses and be grateful for my senses and knowing that there are things around me that I don't even really pay attention to because they've been there forever or because I've seen them so many times. But even the things that you've seen so many times, you can stop and take a moment to appreciate and find the beauty in, find the grace in, and within yourself to take a second to be grateful for it. Because, like, what a freaking splendor it is to exist. Seriously. So take your time and pay attention to things and really soak it in. And don't be mad at yourself if you get, you know, go on autopilot. I think autopilot's honestly kind of a blessing for people. And even in sometimes, like, try to meditate while you're on autopilot because, you know, your body is kind of like knows what it's doing. So take a second to like check in with your mind, check in with your emotions, be a person for a second, and just go slow. That is all that I have for you for today. Thank you so very much for being here. I love you so much, and the world loves you, and the world needs you, and the world wants you. Bye.